Welcome to Just Start, Get Visible, your go-to resource of the journey to becoming more visible in a way that feels right for you. Hey there. Welcome back to Just Start, Get Visible. Today, we are on episode number 274, just shy one episode of 275, which I can promise you is going to be a good one. And I know because I host this podcast, but let's stick to the main thing. Let's keep the main thing, which is today's episode, which is number 274. And it as well is a good one because I know for sure in the many conversations that I have with fine folks just like you, that we make this very big mistake. And it is us deciding what's impossible before we even start. We start to say things like, that's not possible. That's not going to work. That's never going to work. We tried that last time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes, many times, we eliminate opportunities before they ever have a chance to become real. We decide we're not ready. We assume that whoever these people that we know or don't know will say no. We convince ourselves something is impossible because we've never done it or we've never seen it before. So let's address all that in this episode. This episode is about creating enough space to ask ourselves, what if this is possible? How might we? I remember we used the words how might we quite a bit in my past career when I was still at AARP Innovation Labs. And it was during a really magical season, quite honestly. It was a season where we were standing up our innovation lab, helping people come along on the journey of thinking about innovation and how might we and how could we, and using these very open-ended questions to educate the entire staff, which was actually really dope now in reflection, that we started the innovation journey when I was there at that fine place. And we asked many questions a lot around the notion of how might we, how could we, how might we change the lives of people as they age? But this spirit of how might we, how could we, it still lives within me to this day. And it's a part of the reason why I feel so strongly about helping people like you start the things that they want to do and get visible in a way that feels right for them. And so in this episode of Just Start, Get Visible, we're closing out a series. Our entire month has been dedicated to us pulling the strings on an episode that we had back in 271. 271 was with Torie McDonald, who, of course, is my private Pilates instructor, who is a professional in the health and wellness space. And we talked a lot about possibilities and sometimes going after the unknown. Sometimes the biggest barrier between us and an opportunity isn't another person or a lack of resources. Sometimes it's the conclusion that we've already made up ourselves, like that's not possible, or I can't do this. That's not possible for me. But what if we stopped answering the question before we had enough information? What if we stopped answering the question before we've had enough information? And there are three things that I want you to consider as you are reframing. This is what I'm going to invite you to do is reframe. Reframe, how can you stop deciding what's impossible before you begin? Number one, stop saying no for other people. Because sometimes you say no for people and that might not be your business. That might not be your expertise. Honestly, sometimes we may not have even been asked the question at all. We're just giving our opinions. But stop saying no for other people because we don't apply. We don't ask. We don't pitch. We don't raise our hand. Perhaps somebody is willing to give you the opportunity, but you didn't ask. You didn't even put yourself in the running. And not because someone rejected us, but because we rejected ourselves first. We were like, no, that's good. I'm good. And maybe we just don't like that feeling. I get it. Like the feeling of rejection can be harsh, but you're going to get rejected throughout many pieces of your life, whether you ask for it or whether you don't. There is a big difference between being realistic and prematurely deciding what's possible. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself, where have I already told myself no without giving the opportunity a chance to say yes? Where have I already told myself no in the things you want to start, the place you want to get visible, the leader that you want to grow to be, and you haven't actually given the opportunity a chance to say yes, right? Like sit in that. If you have to pause this episode to write that down, go ahead and do that because I want you to answer that question for yourself. Section 2 is what I want to dig into now. I want you to trade certainty for curiosity. Just a few episodes back, I talked about curiosity and how important it is to stay curious back in episode number 272. Just how important it is for us to stay curious. And I talk about how being curious is something that has really served me well throughout my career, throughout my personal life, and even my professional life. It's opened doors for me that I never even thought were possible. And so I want to invite you to do the same thing. I want to invite you to just stay curious because there are things that we think we know, like definitive things that we're like, oh, that's absolutely going to happen that way. And a lot of times it doesn't happen that way. But we will shut down those opportunities because we weren't curious, because we feel like we were so certain about whatever. And so I want you to do this instead. Instead of thinking or saying, I can't do that, how might you embrace the words, what would it take? Like, what would it take to do that? Instead of, I don't know how. It's a bunch of stuff that I don't know how to do, and I still be doing it. Like, I'm actually quite fascinated that I'm growing a garden, like right off of my kitchen, of peppers and kale and lettuce and butter lettuce and romaine lettuce, which is a clutch move right now, considering that, we're in a delicate state with lettuce overall. And cilantro and lavender and mint and all these things that, quite frankly, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, oh, I want to do this. I want this experience. And I started doing it. And it's amazing that every time I cook now, I pick one thing from my garden to enjoy. And so it wasn't a matter of like, oh my God, I can't do this, or I don't know how. It was like, okay, what are the ways, or what do I need to learn in order to do this? What are the tools? Which for me was a hydroponic. Like, my husband bought me a hydroponic system that sits on top of a countertop upstairs. And that's where the seeds start at. And then I take them out on the balcony. So what would I need to learn? What do you need to learn in order to do the thing? You don't need certainty to explore something, right? You can literally just start. I just want you to do the research, ask the question, have the conversation. Curiosity is a clutch move because there are tons of people that you're going to run across that are going to be like, no, 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 no. They're going to say no before they even get the opportunity. They're going to say no before they even explore what's possible. And guess what? That instantly puts you ahead of them. And I don't want them to say no and be a no, no, no person either. But survey says that there are tons of people that are just going to be like, nah, I'm straight. I'm not going to even try it. But you're here listening to the Just Start Get Visible podcast. So let me give you the tips to rise above. So I want you to ask yourself, okay? Ask yourself this simple question. What would I need to learn? What would I need to learn in order to move forward? Curiosity keeps possibilities open long enough for you to discover what's actually available, what's actually possible. Okay. The third thing I want you to consider is your judgment and how you should manage your judgment better. I want you to not judge your future by your current capacity. We all have a certain number of responsibilities that are on our plate, a certain number of obligations. And there are things that we feel like could never work, could never fit within the life that we visualize for ourselves right now. You've never done it before, whatever it is. Okay. There was a first time for almost everything you know how to do right now. You learned how to walk, you learned how to eat, you learned how to talk, you learned how to do the job that you have right now. But sometimes we get into this mode of doing the exact same thing that even the notion of learning something new becomes this fear-stricken state that we're in, where we're just like, oh no, like I don't want to learn anything new. When in fact, you've been learning new things throughout your entire life, like hard things. Growth means becoming capable of things that you aren't capable of yet. You can grow. You've been growing this whole time. You don't always have to arrive ready. You didn't arrive ready with where you're at right now. From schooling to relationship to tough conversations, you've had them all. You figured it out. Sometimes you become ready by starting. So many of your questions get answered in the action. So here is what I would love to offer up to you from a question standpoint. Ask yourself, am I deciding what's possible for my future based solely on who I am today? Because who you were yesterday, the day before, the week before, last month, last year, 5 years ago, a decade ago, 15 years ago, whoever you were in high school, whoever you were in college, you're not the same person. So are you deciding what's possible for your future based solely on who you are today? Because do you think that in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, in 6 months, you're going to be the same person? You're not. Just society, our interactions, the knowledge that we get, the knowledge that we choose to absorb in, it makes us a different person. So once again, are you deciding what's possible for your future based solely on who you are today? Here's the challenge that I want to give you overall. Think about one thing that you've already decided is impossible. That's not possible. I'm never going to do that. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to do a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm probably going to do it. Is that conclusion that you've come to based on facts or fear? And remember, fear is normal. You're a human. And what's one small action? What's one small action that you can take to find out? A research piece, contributing time to learn, sitting in the fear and discomfort, doing it anyway. You don't have to commit to the entire journey. I just want you to put one foot in front of the other every single day and give yourself permission to start the things that you want to do and get visible in the way that feels right for you. I really beg upon you to stop closing doors. Stop closing doors before you've actually looked through it. Have you even peered to see what's possible? Have you even turned the knob to see that it's open? As we close out this series, this really dynamic series that I have really enjoyed, I want you to remember, stay curious, protect your attention, all right? Not just manage your time, protect your attention and leave some room for possibility. I've said this time and time again, when I really reflect on the things that I've been able to accomplish, I am astonished at it. And it's partly because I've left room for curiosity and possibility. How might I? How could I? Listen, as you navigate the world, I certainly hope that you're safe, you're healthy, and you're well. And I hope that you give yourself permission to start the things that you truly want to do and get visible in a way that feels right for you. What I can guarantee you is that our entire next month is going to be a hoot. And it is because I get even more vulnerable about some of my past experiences and how you can use those experiences to grow. I take you on a journey of the past 15 years of Scarlett's growth and this podcast and the many spaces that I've stopped in, what I've learned and what I invite you to not do. And I make some really significant announcements that I'm particularly excited about. So please do, if you're not subscribing on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, and checking out our landing pages over at JacquelineMBaker.com/just start podcast, go ahead and tap in, because I promise you there's some good stuff that's happening over the next couple months that I want to make sure that you're tapped into. Don't be a stranger. If there's ever a topic that you want us to cover, just shoot me an email at info@JacquelineMBaker.com. I want you to take this one final thing away. I want you to be careful. Be careful to not reject opportunities simply because you've never seen them before. You never know what's possible if you give yourself permission to just start. You take care of yourself. And of course, I'll see you again soon. Ciao. Welcome to Just Start, Get Visible, your go-to resource of the journey to becoming more visible in a way that feels right for you.